stop. Move to the beat of my drum. Who can you feed with a crumb? And what can you grow with a seed? Body don't burn in the sun. Build it up and then they'll come. Can't freely have fun with your funds. We know that freedom ain't free. We need role models and teachers for this world swallow and eat us. But it's hard to know who to follow when everyone around you's a leader. Do it for Darian and Adia, Dame Mo and Rakia. We'll fix it or break it down, but one way or another they'll see us. What happened when bullshit's abolished? Or hustlers put kids through college. We learn money can't fix every problem, or we don't need they schools to get knowledge. But we still grind for them dollars. Ain't no leash or tie on my collar. The stories revise, we write in the lies. Don't rock or roll, but we got honor. Rock and roll, no Madonna. No Rolling Stones, no Nirvana. I'm Chuck Berry and I'm Berry White and I'm very tight with my mama. And I got every right to go crazy. Them scary nights is what made me. But still I rise, it's still the prize. You be ill-advised to try to play me. Welcome to 1 Million Experiments in the Field.
A project where we showcase and explore how we define and create safety for a world without policing and prisons.
I'm Damon.
I'm Kiss.
And for the last couple of years, we have been learning from, documenting, amplifying different practices and projects in building safety and community around the country and beyond.
Yeah, we built this beautiful podcast that you can check out called 1 Million Experiments. We made this film that's connected to the podcast, which we're touring all over the country screening. And as we do that tour, we're building this project here, reconnecting with the folks we talked to in the lab, in their own spaces, learning from them, seeing how their work has shifted over the last couple of years, and along the way, maybe even tasting something delicious.
We're in a special place.
Oh yeah, we're in my old stomping grounds. Here we are in the Bronx, 242nd Street, and we're very excited to be connecting with the folks from the Friendly Fridge and the Black Trans Travel Fund.
If we want to learn more about creating this new world, we had to get out of the lab and into the field. So let's get to it.
Here we go. We started our time in New York by screening the 1 Million Experiments film in the other 718 borough, Brooklyn, at Starr Bar in Bushwick.
Born out of supporting the Standing Rock encampments in 2016, this delightfully divey community space has continued to support all kinds of liberatory movement work, and it was the perfect fit for our experiment. Just to give a little bit of context of the film, coming out of the uprising of 2020, which was one of the most transformative, historic mobilizations in human history. One of the things that was being named is that there are folks who believe we need to transition our society away from police and prisons. And a lot of folks replied to that provocation with inquiry, a question of, well, if you're saying no police, no prisons, what do we replace that with? And as you'll see in the film, the honorable and always wise Miriam Kaba.
We never hit it with the honorable.
I throw honorable out there. She replied with wisdom, we don't need one alternative to death-making institutions. We need 1 million experiments in how we build safety in community, in relationship with our people.
It was wonderful for me to take the stage in front of an audience that included my family and childhood friends. We sat down to talk with our pal Fatimah Asghar, a brilliant poet and filmmaker,
and Devin Lowe, whose experiment, the Black Trans Travel Fund, started out getting Black trans women home safely across the tri-state area and now supports Black trans women across the globe. And our conversation quickly turned to unpacking the global dimensions of this place-based work.
I would love to hear more about all of your guys' global and international solidarity works and linkages, but also has there been moments where in those experimentations, those international and global experimentations, where you felt yourself change?
And so one of the conversations that we had towards the end of the second season of 1 Million Experiments was with Vivian Sansour. And Vivian Sansour started the Palestinian Seed Library. One thing she said is, how do we not become our oppression? And to be wrestling with that during the height of grief, grounded some things that sometimes feel a little abstract or theoretical. Our contestation with the state, even though it's daily, is not at that same level. So sometimes it feels like, oh, we can just, healing circle and grow food our way towards liberation can sometimes feel inadequate. But hearing her talk in the face of such traumatic violence, name that one, there still is a human responsibility to be human, and two, all domination starts with land, right? And so the violence that occurs between people is all substantiated from the violence and dominion and domination of land. To be able to have that conversation and to be able to take 1 million experiments out of the US neighborhood kind of context and talk about it on this global historical scale was really important. But I really recommend everyone, if you have to choose any conversation, listen to the conversation with Vivian Censor.
Yeah, just because it'll hold your heart. But it's a lesson of like, hey, when you care for people, like that care takes you into depths of conversation and holding each other that you didn't know you needed.
My work has pivoted in many ways from what was originally intended. We still, of course, we've mainly focused on travel, but we've done a lot more than that, right? We're doing this work that we're centered on travel, right? We're picking this specific thing, but because we have like specific values, which is like the inalienable right to wellness, like food, shelter, housing for Black trans people, like safety outside of policing, like all, the importance of honoring our history, like all these different values that we hold. And so is filling this ass still upholding our values? After our last conversation on the podcast, I mentioned that we had been sending money out to Uganda and Kenya and stuff, but we actually ended up taking a trip to Kenya. After this, we come back to the US, we stay connected with these organizers, and we started sending money to these organizers that we got connected with on the ground. And one of the organizers there, his name is Rivka, is a Black trans masculine person, amazing friend, and he, with the money that we sent them, they helped to launch a shelter for Black trans people in Uganda. And it started off small, right? And there's been more and more refugees coming in and seeking shelter at this house, which they've named Devin's House of Hope, which I did not ask them to do.
They named it Devin's House of Hope?
It's called Devin's House of Hope, and it's in Uganda. They just got, this is the third house that they're in now. They just went into the largest house yet, and it's officially the largest shelter for trans people in all of Uganda. And then we also ended up purchasing motorbikes for that shelter so that the shelter members could go to get medications from the hospitals, or they also get raided, just go and pick up people from jail. There's so many things that they were able to do with these motorbikes. But we recognize that normally we're paying for individuals' rides, you get an Uber or something, but we recognize that was not a sustainable thing to do for the folks in other countries. We're okay, let's actually purchase vehicles for the organizations in Kenya and in Uganda and in Jamaica, so that the organizers on the ground have the resources to then meet those needs amongst themselves, because we can't do it alone. We have to help figure out how we can fill these needs in different ways. And so housing was something that we have somehow ended up doing, even though that was not the goal, but it's very much in line with our values, and that is that feels good. I feel proud of that work.
The convo after the screening is often the most fulfilling part. We had folks speak up from across the city and beyond,
including new neighbors from Ecuador interested in building a community space for new arrivals, and a couple of Puerto Rican organizers who shared the importance and challenge of starting small in the face of big problems.
We're from Puerto Rico. We heard the podcast and we organized with Puerto Rican collective. We now call ourselves Mycelio Abolicionista, which is an abolitionist mycelium. Our collective is an experiment. And we started because my best friend and I, we wanted to talk with other people during the pandemic, talk with other people on transformative justice and how we were seeing our friends, which are members of movements, these movements being also centers of a lot of conflict, because that's normal in relationships, and how those conflicts led to disintegration and actually harm. And then we were okay, we need to talk about this. It's a small space that we hold for people that have been incarcerated and families that have currently incarcerated loved ones. Just to come in and process. We do it from an abolitionist and transformative justice lens, but you don't have to be an abolitionist or align with any of these things to come, and not thinking that because it is small, it is insignificant. It is totally the contrary.
All the way uptown, at the northern end of the Bronx, just past the last stop of the 1 train, there's a patch of sidewalk where people are feeding each other. The Friendly Fridge is an experiment that started in pandemic.
Now, years after we were in the lab with its co-founders Selma Raven and Sara Allen on the 1 Million Experiments podcast, we joined them in the field to help distribute some food, introduce them to Devin, who lives not far away in the Bronx, and see the magic of mutual aid in action. What's going on right now? Is this like a typical day or is something else happening here at the fridge?
That's a great question. So today is our third day, and this is where we get our largest drop from redirected produce from Hunt Point Market. And we get anywhere from like 5 to 8 pallets of food, several thousand a pound, maybe 12 or 13. And it's all fresh produce, otherwise it would be thrown out. We also get about 700 to 800 pounds of bread redirected from ore washers. Today we're going to feed anywhere from 300 to maybe 400 people.
Wow. Yeah, that bread distribution was no joke.
And that was tiny. That was small compared to what happened before.
Really?
Yeah. And the meals come from the migrant kitchen. They have a similar thing where you buy a meal and then they donate one. So they accumulate them and we get them once a month.
Yeah.
So those meals are really good, actually.
Beautiful. Well, it's wonderful to see it in action and to see people asking the exact questions that you said people were asking you every day, all day, you know, and you've gotten so good at answering them, you know?
So we run a community fridge. It's a community-run organization. We used to be on Broadway before, so we moved recently here, like 6 months.
And do you pay?
No, it's all whatever you need, you take.
Where does the food come from?
Some of it comes from Hunts Point. We have different partners who, all of it is redirected food.
It's charity.
It's not charity. Charity is when people tell you what others need. This is mutual aid. We share, we help one another. Charity is more like when you say you need a can of beans, here you go. But this is mutual aid.
This is different.
It is different, very different.
So thank you.
You're welcome. Help yourself if you need something.
No, I don't.
See, that's the difference. We're changing the narrative. In the beginning, people would say, oh, I don't need it. It's for them. We are them. We're all them.
We were blown away by how perfectly this interaction captured the ethic of mutual aid. But Selma said this type of conversation happens all the time. The consistent presence they hold on this small side street makes so many teaching moments possible, alongside the very tangible nourishment that so many neighbors have come to rely on.
Both of these contributions are only possible because there's a presence there every day, which is honestly quite a feat. We were there for like 3 hours and we were worn out. So while the Friendly Fridge crew finished up, we dipped off with Devin to Lloyd's Carrot Cake, a family business and neighborhood institution right down the block, where Selma and Sara often go and where I got all of my childhood birthday cakes from. We grabbed some legendary treats for the squad and sat down in the park across the street to chop it up a little more.
It's great to see y'all.
Yeah, great to be here.
Great to be here.
You know, the last time we talked, the first question we asked y'all after how is the world treating you, how are you doing, was like, what was the hypothesis when you started your project, when you started your experiment? And so now, not that anything is like complete, like I know the work continues, but from the work that's happened over these last 2+ years, like, are there any new conclusions or things you feel like you've learned, takeaways that you didn't know the last time we talked?
So when we started, we put a refrigerator on the sidewalk, plugged it in, and put a bag of groceries in. That was it. And we asked people to show up in the best way that they could, which was awesome. People did show up. Over time, since almost 4 years now, we learned that A, the system is not broken. The system is working perfectly for certain people. B, we waste a shit ton of food. The whole charity model is built on buying food and giving it to people and telling people that that's what they're gonna get. And that, to me, that's how charity is just a crock of shit. So instead, over time, we figured out that we can rescue food. We can rescue beautiful food and share it with each other. And it doesn't cost as much, and we can do it with dignity, and everyone can do it. So we try to change the narrative from helping those people to, we are all going to eat this food because it's otherwise going to go into the landfill. And that's helped bring down a little bit of the stigma of who needs food. But the larger point is that we're doing this together as a community, and everyone can participate no matter who you are and where you come from. So I think the hypothesis has shifted over into how can we rescue more food and what effect that can have on so many different things.
I love that notion of rescue.
Yeah, 98% or 90% of our food is redirected.
Yeah.
How do we provide the infrastructure to get that to people? Like, where the problem is, or the multiple problems have like intersected beautifully.
I mean, we're not that brilliant that we came up with that. We just saw it happening. It was, I wish we could
That's all we
pretend
could ask
we
is
did.
that you
but
saw it and then
really,
you-
we just saw it like 2020 was all about buying food and figuring out how to buy food and getting people to donate food. And then it just shifted. And when we saw the amount of food that goes to waste, it was incredible, you know. So like all that you saw today, a whole truck, all that would have been thrown out.
Yeah, it was-
Perfectly good food, but one tomato would have been bad in the whole pile. Ditch it. And people were so happy. It was great food.
And so, Dev, want to invite you into, you know, the work of Black Trans Travel Fund has grown literally all over the planet. We talked about the initial hypothesis, but what are some of the conclusions that have come up from the work over the past few years?
We don't need support from the government in order to make these things happen. I think that there has been so many people who have been in support of this work, right, and trying to make suggestions, and even people that have offered certain support. And one thing that has gotten really clear to me over the years is like, not all money is good money. Not all support is worth accepting, you know, because people put so many stipulations and people have expectations, like someone always want their name on something. And I just got really frustrated, you know. There was an organization, as an example, I won't name the name, but they offered us $10,000, right? And I turned it down because they were saying like, oh, you can only spend this money on women in New York, and you can only like provide up to $50 per person. And I'm like, I can't get a woman from the Bronx to Brooklyn for $50 in an Uber anymore. So like, it's okay, you can keep your money, because like it becomes counterproductive to the work that we're trying to do. This is actually making it harder for me to like make the money that I can actually move. Like, you're taking my time away.
You know, as we sit here in these two distinct mutual aid projects, it just, you know, reifies the idea that the world we've built requires this mutual aid ethic. And one of the things we talked about yesterday, and that people are always asking about when they're trying to do, you know, community-facing work, is this notion of size, of scale, and, you know, what 1 Million Experiments offers, what we talked about yesterday, was the value of starting small. And so, you know, y'all have y'all's corner. You have your folks, you have your community that you're very intentional about, and there is no intention of expanding beyond that community. And so can y'all speak a little bit more of the lessons of starting small and the importance of moving slow and small to keep the work healthy?
Only recently we decided that we really need a storefront. Like, it's going to be much better, and we're going to be able to process food and repack food. And we were getting really excited about that idea. And Jeannie asked me again, she said, is this just for optics, Mom? Do you really need a storefront? And we've been debating about this, and I was the one who thought we needed it, but nobody else. You didn't. We've really realized we don't need a storefront. We're moving 20,000 pounds. We're redistributing food every month without a storefront. Yes, on a rainy day, we have to get a little umbrella, get a little shade, but it's still, the work is going on, so we don't really need to expand. But I have to say, there are groups, they don't see us as credible because it's the optics. It's like, do you have a place? Where is your location? And right now we're applying for grants for the first time, and we had one person say, we're gonna come on and visit you. And I'm like, yeah, we're on the sidewalk, you know, so the idea of starting small, I think, has been really good, and even growing slower. I lost the battle. I lost.
I want to build off an interaction I observed you have, Selma, with a gentleman who came by the fridge today. And to kind of just, you know, summarize the interaction, he was trying to figure out what y'all were doing and what's happening there. And as you offered him food, he was like, oh, this is good, but I don't need it. Is there something else we're saying when we say, I don't need that?
I'm going to be honest with you, that man would have pissed me off a few months ago. If I would have been mad. 'Cause we get that a lot of the time. Somebody will walk down and say, what is it you guys are doing here? We don't need you. We don't need this. We get that a lot. And I would just jump off my handle and say, how do you know? Would all these people stand online?
That doesn't sound like her at
Yeah.
all.
I'm not super religious, but I want to just center myself and say, every day is a new day. Everything is a welcome guest. He was a welcome guest. And what am I going to learn from this? And he came back.
What do you mean by he came back?
He seemed really curious. And when he came back, he took a loaf of rye bread and he took a meal. And so much of the time, There are different groups of people who come to the fridge, and sometimes it's shame. You want the food, and you feel a sense of shame, and we're trying to minimize that.
There they are, grabbing a bite to eat and having a normal conversation, and they walk away feeling a little bit better, and they can make decisions moving forward.
As we start to wind down, I want folks to be able to enjoy their cake, but it's really been a gift to one, just see y'all in space together and to learn from y'all in tandem.
Meeting Devin and meeting other people who are mentally in the same space in terms of mutual aid, it's no longer a new thing. It's something that I seek out because it's my family.
Yeah.
I understand it now. It's like once you see it, you can't unsee it. Yeah. You're like, okay, I understand where you're coming from, and that's a gift.
Yeah.
That's a gift.
Sara's resonance with her fellow mutual aid experimenters extends far beyond the borough, the city, and the time frame of these last 5 years.
From the Bronx Bakers Mutual Aid Association in 1913 to the Young Lords and Black Panthers projects around free breakfast, self-defense, and grassroots healthcare. The lineage of this work has been essential to the survival of Bronxites for decades and even centuries.
Every tomato handed out on the block, every rideshare home, every conflict mediated with love impacts all of the participants in unexpected and sometimes invisible ways.
Devin, Sara, and Selma show us that by carefully building this on-the-ground and underground network of care on the smallest of scales, we can experience what this new definition of safety can feel like.
One where we are taken care of and take care of each other, where we learn from those far away in space and time, and know that even in the margins of a massive metropolis, where the harms of empire loom larger than skyscrapers, starting small is how we root what we build in liberation and create the world we need. Until next time,
Much love to the people.
peace.